Hello YouTube, Denster274 here with a short history lesson and a really interesting set of flintlock pistols. In early July in 1804, in an island just off Weehawken, New Jersey, two men met for a duel. One was then Vice President Aaron Burr, and the other was former Secretary of the Treasury Alexander Hamilton. Burr had challenged Hamilton to a duel, and Hamilton was initially reluctant, possibly because his son had been killed in a duel just 2 years earlier. But he eventually relented and agreed to the duel. The two men met, and the duel commenced. Burr fired first, striking Hamilton a mortal blow. Hamilton fell forward, and his pistol discharged harmlessly into the air. The pistols used for this duel were a set borrowed by Hamilton, since he was the challenged and could select the weapons, from his brother-in-law. They were made by Robert Wogden in London. Now, Robert Wogden worked from 1860 to 1803, and his pistols became so prominent in the dueling scene that duels were often referred to in England as a Wogden affair. This particular set of pistols passed down through the Church family and eventually sold to the Chase Manhattan Bank in 1979, was sent by courier by the American Historical Foundation to Italy, to the shop of Aldo Uberti. Uberti disassembled the flintlock pistol. The set as it exists now, the original set as it exists now, one pistol has been converted to percussion sometime later. Disassembled the flintlock pistol, took exacting measurements, and exactly duplicated the flintlock pistols as they would have been at the time of the Hamilton-Burr duel. These were sold in 1981 with a subscription price prior to issue of $2,995. After they were issued, the remaining sets were sold at the price of $3,295. Which doesn't seem much in 2013 dollars. However, back then, that would have been the equivalent today of about $14,000 to $15,000. A pretty pricey set, and I dearly wanted a set when they were first issued, but that was way beyond my means. However, now they're available on the market, generally for a price between $1,100 and $1,500, depending on the condition of the pistols. And while they may have been a horrible investment in 1981 dollars, in 2013 dollars, they are just absolutely excellent and a steal at that price. Let's take a look at the pistols here. Now, one thing I noticed from having examined photographs of a number of Wogden duelers is these are probably not as they existed when they left Wogden's shop. Wogden was noted for making a very slender pistol with the balance point right underneath the cock of the lock, and a totally solid wood forend, pretty much unadorned. The elegance of the pistols was in the skill of the craftsman and the function of the pistol itself. You'll note that the barrel on this is a swamp barrel. That means it's thicker at the breech, tapers to the narrowest point about 3 inches behind the muzzle, and then flares back out again. That's referred to as a swamp barrel, and the purpose, of course, is to throw the balance point rearward. These have been fitted with a brass forend, and the brass forend actually stays with the pistol when you disassemble it. This throws the balance point forward to just in front of the rear entry point for the ramrod. And this is consistent with a change in the thoughts on dueling pistols towards the latter part of the 1700s and the early 1800s to have the balance more muzzle heavy so the pistol would hang on target. These have an absolutely excellent flintlock, as we would expect, being a recreation of Wogden's work. The internal works are just absolutely jewel-like. There is a sliding safety so that the pistol, when it's on half cock and before being primed, can be held on safe, and dropping the pistol would not result in a fire from breaking off the half cock notch or the tip of the sear with the safety engaged. The pistols are 54 caliber, smooth bore, and the accuracy of these pistols is really surprising. Most people think that smooth bore is inaccurate compared to a rifle bore, and to some degree that's true. But out to about 20 to 25 yards, a smooth bore well loaded gives up nothing to a rifled bore. And these pistols, and I have shot them, are fully capable of keeping all of the shots in a man's head at 25 yards if the shooter is up to the task. You'll note here the trigger. Now this has a single set trigger. It can be pushed forward, and that sets the trigger so that the trigger pull will only be about 7 to 8 ounces to fire the pistol. It can also be fired without the trigger set, but that has a fairly crisp but heavy pull of about 8 pounds. Much ado was made when the American Historical Society first brought these pistols out about, on their disassembly, there being discovered a hidden set trigger. And this kind of alluded to the fact that Alexander Hamilton may have been looking for an unfair advantage in his duel. But it was all marketing hype, because anybody that's familiar with these style of pistols realizes that from about 1780 on forward, having a set trigger in dueling pistols was pretty much the rule rather than the exception. In any case, the seconds who loaded the pistols for Burr and Hamilton would have been familiar with this feature and would have known about it when they were loading the pistols. So no attempt, at an unfair advantage was thought of by Hamilton. As I said, these are just an absolutely exceptional set of pistols, crafted by a master craftsman. "2,000 sets were manufactured," which would make you think they were scarce. However, they're not. They frequently show up on Gunbroker and on other auction sites. And while people may tend to ask huge prices for them at times, actual sales prices, as I said, range about $1,100 to $1,500 for a set in really nice condition. This particular set is only lacking the white gloves that were originally shipped with the pistols, and the certificate of authenticity, which is totally worthless. We stop to consider that if one were going to have a flintlock pistol crafted by a reasonably decent gunsmith these days, the raw parts to build a pistol of this quality would run in the neighborhood of $500 to $600 before a gunsmith ever touched it. So to have a pair for that price, seems really reasonable. I consider these at this price to be an absolutely wonderful investment and just absolutely a joy to shoot. Anyway, tune in for future videos. Thanks for watching.